Dear children, this is a class for the 8th standard. Since we couldn't conduct the classes properly due to power failure, I'm recording this session for you. So, in the previous class, we just started with the lesson Microorganisms, Friend and Foe. So, in this lesson, I told you basically we are studying about the useful microbes as well as the harmful microbes. So, in the beginning of the lesson, you have already understood that these microbes are called so because they are able to see only through a microscope. We cannot see them directly in the naked eye. Okay, so that is why they are called as microbes. Okay, so in the last session, we already discussed about the importance of microbes in household products. For example, in making of curd, all of you, we all use microbes, especially the microorganism which is called lactobacillus bacteria, which is helping in the conversion of milk into curd. So that is already dealt with. Then we also saw how we are using yeast in the baking of cakes, bread, etc. So in a commercial purpose, yeast is a major microbe that is used for baking in baking industries. Okay, so we all looked into how these microbes are useful in the baking industry. Then we also talked about the importance of microbes in medicine. So in the last class, we were just starting with the importance of microbes in the field of medicine. So in that context, I told you that there are certain microbes, the products of which can be used to kill the disease causing microbes. Have you understood? And these chemicals or the products which are released from these microbes are actually referred to as antibiotics. The word meaning of antibiotic, anti refers to against, okay, and biotic refers to life. So we can say that antibiotic means something which is against life. So if you split the word anti, that means against, biotics means life. So against life, that is to kill the disease causing organism. And we call the disease causing organisms as pathogens. Okay, so how did this discovery was made possible? That I told you in the last class, that Alexander Fleming, he was working on the lab, he was working in the lab using a particular microbe, and suddenly he found out that some mold was growing inside the plate in which he was growing the microbes, and he understood that this mold actually prevented the growth of these bacteria, and thus he accidentally discovered that the product from this fungus was actually inhibiting the growth of these bacteria. So he understood that this can be used to kill bacteria, and so the word antibiotic came into existence. So the first antibiotic has been discovered by Alexander Fleming in the year 1929, and the first antibiotic is called penicillin. Penicillin, and it was discovered from the fungus called Penicillium notatum. Notatum. This is the name of the fungus from which the first antibiotic was discovered. After that, this antibiotic was widely used for the treatment of soldiers who were actually injured in the World War. Okay, so like that, so many use came for these antibiotic. Later, so many other antibiotics were discovered. For example, you can say streptomycin, then tetracycline, then erythromycin. These are all antibiotics which the doctors will prescribe for bacterial disorders. Now, one important thing, these antibiotics are quite commonly preferred only for bacterial infections. This is because these antibiotics doesn't have any role in killing the virus. That is why we don't use antibiotics for any viral infection. Rather, the doctors will prescribe antibiotics only for bacterial infection. Okay, so you have to remember that. Now, simply you cannot go and get antibiotics from any medical shop, because these antibiotics are not to be simply eaten as you eat other medicines. They have to be eaten in a correct doses, and actually should be prescribed by a doctor, then only you can have antibiotics. So there are basic rules by which you have to take these antibiotics. First of all, you can see in your textbook, it is given in a table there. Actually, it is important to remember that we should take antibiotics only on the advice of a qualified doctor. First of all, that is very important. Only after getting the instruction from the doctor, you have to go for taking antibiotics. Then, if you are taking antibiotics, it should be completed. The course, the entire course of antibiotics should be completed. It can be 3 days, it can be 5 days, it can be 7 days. So you have to completely finish off the course for which the antibiotics have been prescribed. Now, for mild or smaller infections, better don't go for antibiotics, because your body will be adjusted to that, and for even for small infection, your body has to depend on antibiotics to cure it. So we have natural capacity for curing certain diseases. So to a certain extent, we have to depend on natural ability of the body. After that, if the infection is severe, then we have to depend on antibiotics. Okay, and antibiotics are never ever effective for viral infections, so you have to keep that in mind. So if you have a cold or if you have a running nose, you don't go for taking antibiotics. If you have a serious throat infection or if you have any other serious bacterial infections, only you can prefer the antibiotics. So these are the important things you have to remember while taking antibiotics. Okay, so that is all about the antibiotics and the important use of microbes in the field of medicine. Now the next important topic what you are referring is vaccine. You might have all heard the term vaccine, because you know the present situation, we are all facing the dreadful situation of the spread of this virus which is called the coronavirus, isn't it? So we are all awaiting that vaccine should be discovered as soon as possible. Only then we can have an end to this, actually to this pandemic. Okay. So now, what is a vaccine? When you were small, when you were just born, you have got the vaccines of different types, isn't it? Now, why we are getting the vaccines when we are very small? Actually, it is a part of the healthcare process in our country. See, the healthcare department or the health department of our country has prescribed certain vaccinations for children under the age of 15 years. So your last vaccine that you are going to get is at the age of 15, when you are becoming a 10th standard student. That is the last vaccine as a part of the government health program. Okay, so in your smaller age, when you were small, very small baby, you might have got different types of vaccines. Now, actually, what is this vaccine? Why you are getting these injections for often? Or why your smaller babies are getting this, in your elder brothers are receiving injections, your smaller ones are receiving injections? You all hear the word vaccine. Actually, what is a vaccine? See, a vaccine means it is actually a preparation of a pathogen. When I mean to say preparation of a pathogen means it is actually a small amount of the pathogen which we are introducing into our body. Okay, when I refer to pathogen, pathogen is something which is causing a disease. For example, it can be a bacteria, it can be a virus, or it can be any other microbe. So we are taking a very mild amount of this pathogen, and we are introducing into our body, into our blood, in the form of injections. Now, what is going to happen in the body? Why are we taking the vaccine like this? That is a question that might arise in your mind. Actually, we are taking the smaller dose just to make sure that when this is inside our body, the body will start producing certain substances known as antibodies. The body will start producing certain substances known as antibodies. Now, what are these antibodies? These antibodies are actually substances which our body produces in response to the pathogen which is entering into the body in the form of vaccine. Have you understood? So when the doctor gives you a vaccine, actually the vaccine is containing a small quantity or a small dose of the pathogen, and then when it enters the body will start producing antibodies to fight against this pathogen. Okay, so when the body produces these antibodies will destroy the small amount of pathogen. And then what happens when the antibodies are destroying the small amount of pathogens? Actually, we will not get the disease. Okay, now these antibodies will be stored in our body as memory cells. Okay, now when this exact pathogen comes and attacks us for the second time, when we are actually prone to this disease, what happens? These already formed antibodies will start to fight off very vigorously, and as a result, we won't get the disease for the second time. Have you understood? For example, I'll tell. In your smaller age, you might have received a polio vaccine. Even now itself, 2 times in a year, the government, through this, what you can say, healthcare centers, the government ensures that all the children under the age of 5 must receive the polio vaccine. Now we know that the polio vaccine, the children are very happy to receive polio vaccine. Why? Because this polio vaccine is not given as injection. It is given as an oral drop in the mouth. A small drop is given in the mouth, and that is why it is called an oral polio vaccine. You might have heard the full form. Oral polio vaccine, in short, it is written as OPV. Okay, it is written as OPV. What is this OPV? This OPV is nothing but it is the oral polio vaccine. Have you understood? Now, why this oral polio vaccine is given? In the sense, because see, polio, actually it's a disease which is caused by a virus called poliovirus. Now, this virus is very, very threatening in the sense it will narrow your limbs, especially your lower limbs. So your legs will become very thin and you won't be able to walk properly. So you might have seen children walking with crippled legs, or they are walking with the help of an aid. In that case, these children might have affected with the polio virus. Now, the government has made a strict rule regarding this spread of this polio, that all the children must receive at least this much doses of this oral polio vaccine before they reach 5 years of age. Have you understood? That's why every year, 2 times in a year, especially I think January, February, like that, 2 times a year, this polio vaccine will be given to the smaller kids. Have you understood? So what is happening actually? We are giving a small dose of this virus along with that drop in the mouth. Now when this virus enters the body, it will start triggering the production of antibodies. Now when the antibodies are getting produced, you can see mild fever might accompany you because the virus has entered into your body. So the body will start reacting as a form of a fever. Now, along with that, the body will start producing antibodies and it will be stored in the body. Okay. Now, when this virus comes and attacks for the second time, actually when children are always exposed, isn't it? So, they might get this virus from different sources. So, when this virus enters the body of the child for the second time, these antibodies which are prepared will definitely defend them by reacting with them, and the virus will be destroyed by these antibodies. So this is the principle behind any type of vaccination. Okay, now the virus or the bacteria or any pathogen which is introduced into the body through vaccine is known as an antigen. Okay, what is it known as? It is known as an antigen. Okay, so this is the pathogen which is entering the body. The body will start producing antibodies. Okay, now what happens when antigen and antibody will react together? It will destroy the pathogen. Have you understood? It will destroy the pathogen. I'll tell you another example. See, when we get the disease called chickenpox is actually caused by a virus disease. So a person who gets chickenpox, his body will start producing antibodies, and that is the reason why for the second time this person doesn't get a chickenpox, because the body is already having antibodies. Now when the second time the virus tries to enter the body, these already formed antibodies will fight and it will get rid of the virus, so the person will be freed from the disease. Have you understood? That is why I said that our immune system is very, very good in remembering this. The immune system can remember whether it is coming for the first time or it is coming for the second time. So when it is coming for the second time, the reaction will be very, very stronger and they will just destroy the antigens and it will get rid of the disease. Okay, so this is what is happening in case of antigen antibody reaction. So this is a principle behind vaccination, and vaccination or immunization is a process by which a person is immunized with the help of vaccine. So as a part of immunization program, we have different types of vaccines given. For example, we have BCG vaccine that is given in the smaller age. BCG is a vaccine which is given for tuberculosis. Okay, BCG vaccine is a vaccine given for tuberculosis. Then we have hepatitis vaccine, we have polio vaccines, we have vaccine for chicken pox. And now I think if new vaccine is discovered for COVID-19, surely all the children will have to take this COVID vaccine also as a part of the immunization program. Okay, so that is all about the important role of microbes in the field of medicine. So I hope this vaccine is clear to you. What is vaccination and what is immunization? All these terms are clear to you. Okay, so this is how vaccine work. And it was Edward Jenner, a scientist called Edward Jenner. Scientist called Edward Jenner was the first person. Edward Jenner, he was the first person to discover the vaccine for smallpox in the year 1798. Smallpox vaccine was actually introduced by Edward Jenner. You know, smallpox also was a very dreadful disease like chickenpox, even deadlier than chickenpox. And those who get smallpox, they were actually isolated, very much isolated. Even they were allowed to move out of the country. So that particular disease was eradicated from our country because of the presence of the vaccine, which was discovered by a scientist called Edward Jenner. Okay, so I hope this much is clear to you, and in the next class we will start with how microbes are useful in the field of agriculture and in increasing soil fertility, etc. Okay, so with that we have come to the end of the session. Thank you all.